Hey, this is Steve Gullett, KD480J, and I wanted to make this video to document what I have learned about DSTAR and building a DSTAR repeater. I guess a homebrew repeater. So when I got into DSTAR, and there was no repeater in Mount Sterling, and I was using a hotspot to access the Kentucky reflector. So I've had a UHF repeater on in Mount Sterling for about 20 years on 442.050, just an FM repeater, and it was hard linked into Lexington for years, and then that's not the case now, or was no longer the case. So I decided I would convert that frequency over to DSTAR. And so what this video is, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the actual DSTAR repeater, and something that I didn't know when I originally thought I would do this until I talked with Rodney, KG4LKY, down in London, Kentucky, is one of my concerns was having internet at the repeater site, and then having to deal with a computer or a Raspberry Pi or some type of software that I would have to visit the repeater site and update or reboot, what have you. So that was kind of a drawback. But he told me that I could do a remote gateway, and that was the type of system he has online. So this will cover the homebrew 440 UHF DSTAR repeater with remote base, and remote gateway, not remote base. Okay, so let's get at it. So basically, this is repeater number 2. This is the backup repeater to the 442.050. The actual repeater is in service right now. So I've got 2 Motorola CDM-1250 radios. One is set up for receive, and one is set up for the transmit frequency. And I just made up a wiring harness that'll plug into this controller. Now this controller will be mounted inside this die-cast box and be placed inside, and that's all the repeater is. Now this controller is the magic to the whole thing. This is a Advanced Repeater Systems GMSK 4800 baud repeater controller, and it's designed just for DSTAR. And as you can tell, there's only excuse me, there's only 2 adjustments, input and output. And there is a test point right here, says RXA, so it's receive audio. And that you can use an oscilloscope and set up the data stream settings right there. But that's it. That's all. This is all that is at the repeater site, is a receive radio, a transmit radio with a GMSK modem, and of course I've got duplexers, an amplifier, and all that stuff. But this is the basic repeater. This is it. That's all there is. There's no software to update. There's nothing to reboot or anything. So that is the actual repeater. Now this repeater will work without the gateway connected as a standalone repeater. It doesn't require call signs to be correct or anything. All it does is take the GMSK data stream from your DSTAR radio, it decodes it, it rebuilds the code and re-encodes it, and it puts about a 1/4 second delay on the signal. And the 1/4 second delay is to give the transmitter time to come up and stabilize, so that no header information is missed on the transmit side. So that covers this. I'm going to pause and I'm going to go over and talk about the gateway setup. Okay. So now we are over at the gateway. So the way it works is the repeater is located in Mount Sterling at a repeater site, and the internet connection is about 5 miles to the west at my shop. So all the gateway radio, or all the gateway is another Motorola CDM-1250, and it is programmed as a normal transceiver would be to talk to the repeater. So if you key this radio, the repeater hears it on the input, and when the repeater's transmitting, this radio hears the output of the repeater. That's it. That's all there is to the radio. Then I have another harness made up that goes to a micronode.com mmdvm. Now, the reason I selected this when it was recommended, and it's pretty stable, I'll put some more information in another video about it. It requires some programming. And then I have a 3B Raspberry Pi. So we go from the radio harness out the back to the DB9, and out of the modem USB connection to the Raspberry Pi. Then this is just power for the Raspberry Pi, and that is the remote gateway. This Raspberry Pi is connected to my internet here at the shop. So I'll give you a quick demo here. Let me turn my radio down. So as you can tell, we've got 442050. That's the Mount Sterling repeater. I'm going to key it up and you'll see that it does work. Okay, so I'm going to move over here and bring my mic with me, and I'm going to try to be coordinated. I want to turn up the volume so you can kind of hear what's going on. When I key up this radio, it keys the repeater, and this radio is listening to the repeater and putting that information onto 56 Bravo. So here we go. KD480J. And then when I unkey, any information coming from the gateway goes back out on the repeater, and I'm going to show you how that works, because I have another radio here set up, my Zoom spot, or I thought I did. Okay, so I have a radio set up on my Zoom spot. Now when I key this radio, you'll see this radio begin to transmit, and it's transmitting the reflector information out to the repeater. So here we go. KD480J. 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 And then you heard it come across the repeater, has that delay. So I guess the main thing is just for me to document what I've got here, and to also let other people know that if you've got a great site, a great repeater site, but you don't have internet, that's fine. That's not a problem. Remote gateway works great. And actually, I prefer this because, as you saw, the repeater only consists of 2 radios and a circuit board, and I don't have to do any programming, any software updates or anything. The Raspberry Pi is running a Pi-Star image, and on occasion it gets a little goofy, especially if you pull the power on it with it trying to write to the card and you have to put a new image on it. I don't know if that's the way they work or what, but that's how mine works. So I like having it here at my shop. If I come in and it's down or whatever, I can fix it real easy. I don't have to drive to town and coordinate getting into the repeater site. I'm sure I'm missing some information here, but this is the first video just to talk about remote gateway. If this is something that you want to do, just drop me an email, kd480j@gmail.com, Kilo Delta 4 Alpha Delta Juliet @gmail.com, and we'll connect up. And I'll freely share all my drawings, my wiring harness schematics, radio code plugs, how they're programmed, whatever you need to get your DSTAR repeater online. And you know, because my goal here is to further the DSTAR hobby, the ham radio hobby, using DSTAR as a mode. I really enjoy that. And I won't quit rambling. That's DSTAR with a remote gateway in a nutshell. Thanks for watching.